screens were shredded, and they put super glue in all the door locks and super glued the mailbox shut. Once the screen was torn, they gained entry. They didn't steal anything, but they destroyed the inside of the house. They spray painted everything, including the words, "For Princess," on a wall inside the home. Polaroids were taken, and I got to see the destruction. They also, just to put the cherry on top, egged and TP'd the place. This, from what I was told, took about 3 hours in total, and neither the neighbor next to him or across the street said a darn thing or called the cops. The group left and went back to their homes like it was just a typical Halloween night. I found out from the neighbors. I was very well known in my neighborhood, and people tended to tell me things with ease, that the total amount of damage was around $20,000. This was 1991, so a ton of money. And it seems that the group destroyed some very precious things that he had. Now, the one thing that they did that I'm not proud of is they dumped the urn that contained his late wife's ashes. I think that was a jerk move, but I still believe that he deserved it. This jerk was furious, but no one saw a darn thing. It took him about a year to get everything fixed. He told the neighbors that his car insurance would not cover the damage to the car, and he had to buy a new car. And the car was one of those old Lincoln Land boats that probably had another $15,000 to $20,000 onto the total. Police were called, but there was nothing found. This was before DNA and all that fancy CSI stuff, so it was pretty dust for prints and be on their merry way. They tried to go after Sweet Old Lady, but it fizzled. There was no proof she had anything to do with it. The great thing about all of this, there was never another cat that vanished from the area. The jerk died about a year before I left the neighborhood at 18. From what I heard from a neighbor, he was raging about what happened to anyone who would listen. Once I was able to roam again, I was able to get the Polaroids from a friend who gave them to my mom in a sealed envelope. I went to Sweet Old Lady and showed her the pics. She just smiled and gave me $20. She lived for another 3 years. She was wonderful during that time. I wish I still had the Polaroids, but they were lost when I got kicked out of an apartment due to my jerk ex. But that is a story for another song. Entitled Mother yells at me for ignoring her son when she invited him to eat lunch with my friend and I. This was a few days ago, and I still think she's crazy. As a backstory, my mother has this friend who's very anti-video games, let's call her Entitled Mom, and has a son who I'm friends with, nice kid. Growing up, she would just invite her son to eat dinner with us without even telling us. Nice kid would just show up. To be fair, he would usually text me, giving me a heads up that his mom is too lazy to make him dinner, so he's been told to come over. I thought that was very entitled and strange, but my mother didn't seem too busy. Anyway, back to the story. My mother had some coupons for pizza, so she told me I could order some pizza for lunch and have a friend over to play video games or something while she goes to work. This is exactly what I do. I ordered pizza, and my friend comes over to play competitive CSGO with me on our laptops while we eat. When playing competitive CSGO, you get banned from playing competitive matches for a certain amount of time. This will be important later. Then suddenly, I hear a knock on the door. Apparently, somehow, Entitled Mom found out I was getting pizza and playing video games with a friend. Knowing that we were playing video games, I'm still not sure why she would get him to come over. Anyway, he just shows up and I let him inside. He explained his mother found out I was getting pizza and playing CSGO with my friend. I didn't want to turn him away, so I let him eat some pizza with us. To not be rude, we talked to him in between games. After an hour, he leaves, and I don't give it another thought. After maybe 20 minutes, I get a call on my phone. At first I ignore it, but it rings again and again until I check who it is. My heart sank when I saw the caller ID. Then she sent me a very angry text. "Call me now." Thinking it could be very serious, I pick up the phone. Entitled Mom. "Excuse me, but why did you ignore my son when he came over for your play date?" Me. He said you were playing your stupid video games." Sorry, I didn't know your son was coming, so I started a competitive..." "And you pause it and talk to him. He walked for 15 minutes to get to your apartment. What's wrong with you?" "It's a 2-minute walk." Me. "I'm sorry, I can't pause." "What do you mean you can't pause a game to talk to my son? Don't tell me you can't pause a game. I played Pac-Man before, and I can pause. Don't lie to me." Me. "It's an online game with other people, and my friends, including a friend that came over to my house to..." "I know that, but you knew my son was going to come for your play date." Me. "I don't understand what you want me to do. Nobody ever invited him. You just got him to show up."